In Edo, Japan, some samurai were so poor they sold their own swords to buy food. That's like a modern soldier pawning their gun to afford dinner. These weren't failed warriors, they were victims of a system that left them stranded between strict social codes and empty rice bowls. Hey, quick thing before we start, if you actually listen to these regularly, hit like or subscribe. I always wonder where everyone's at, so comment your city and what time it is. Weird to think some of you are having breakfast in London while I'm recording this at night here in the States. Alright, tonight it's the struggling samurai of Edo period Japan. But before we go anywhere, get comfortable. Seriously, take a second, adjust those pillows, make sure your blanket situation is handled. You're gonna be here a while. The year is 1765. You're waking up in Edo, Japan, what we now call Tokyo. Your eyes open to darkness. It's still 2 hours before dawn, but the thin paper walls of your tiny Nagaya row house do nothing to block the sounds of your neighbor's coughing fit. It's cold, the kind of cold that seeps into your bones and makes your joints ache. Not like the warm, cozy bed you're in right now. Your sleeping area is just a thin futon laid directly on the tatami mat floor. No mattress, no box spring, just you and some reed mats between your body and the hard-packed earth beneath the house. Your stomach growls. It's been growling for about 200 years. Okay, more like 12 hours since your last proper meal, but hunger has a way of stretching time. Quiet, you whisper to your noisy gut. You'll wake the children. Your hand fumbles in the darkness until it finds the small iron brazier near your futon. There's barely any heat left in it. The charcoal you could afford was the cheap stuff, mostly dust and small chips that burn out too quickly. But there's just enough warmth to feel the difference between your freezing fingers and the metal sides. In the corner of the room, your wife and 2 children are still sleeping, huddled together under a shared blanket. The 4 of you occupy a space smaller than a modern parking spot. During the day, you fold away the futons to create living space. At night, the entire floor becomes your bed. You sit up slowly, careful not to make a sound. The wooden floor creaks beneath the tatami as you shift your weight. You wince. Even the house is hungry, crying out from its empty belly. Another day, you mutter, your breath visible in the cold air. Another day of being hungry and important. That's the joke of your existence. You're a samurai, a member of the ruling warrior class. You outrank about 95% of the population. Peasants are legally required to bow to you. Merchants must show you respect even though they eat better food than you've had in years. You have the right to wear 2 swords. You're basically nobility. Nobility that can't afford breakfast. The water in the wash basin has a thin crust of ice that breaks under your fingers. You splash your face and the shock of it jolts you fully awake. Good, you'll need your wits about you today. Hey, you mumble to yourself, at least I'm not paying taxes like those farmers. That something right? It's a cold comfort. True, as a samurai, you're exempt from the heavy taxes that crush the peasant class. Instead, you receive a stipend from your lord, a fixed amount of rice meant to sustain you and your family. The problem is, that stipend hasn't increased in 50 years, while the cost of everything else has. You reach for your clothes, carefully folded in the wooden chest. Your fingers trace the worn spot on your hakama pants. You've mended it 3 times already, but the fabric keeps fraying. Can't be helped. New clothes are out of the question this month, maybe next month, if the rice stipend stretches far enough. You should eat something before heading out. Your stomach reminds you with another embarrassing growl, but a quick check of the rice container confirms what you already knew: there's barely enough for the children's breakfast. Your wife will go without too, you know, though she'll never say it. My loyal soldiers, you whisper, patting your swords as you tie them to your belt. The short wakizashi and the longer katana together, they're worth enough to feed your family for half a year, but selling them would mean selling your identity. Without them, you're not a samurai. You're nothing. They're also the only inheritance you have to pass on to your son. The irony doesn't escape you. These symbols of your status are simultaneously the things keeping you from total poverty and the chains binding you to it. You can't sell them, can't use them, it's peacetime in Edo, and can't escape them. You slide open the thin door and step into the common area that serves as kitchen and dining room. Your wife is already there, kneeling by the small hearth. She must have slipped out of bed while you were getting dressed. You should have stayed asleep, you say, and let my husband go to the castle hungry. She smiles, but her face is tired. I found some rice at the bottom of the jar. You look at the pathetic portion of rice porridge bubbling in the pot. It's more water than rice, stretched thin with a few pickled vegetables floating in it. Your mouth waters anyway. The children need it more, you say, though your stomach protests loudly. I've set aside their portion, she says firmly. You have duties today. You need your strength. This is an old argument between you, played out hundreds of times. Today you don't have the energy to refuse. You kneel and accept the small bowl she offers. Thank you, you say? The rice porridge is bland and watery, but it's hot. You eat slowly, savouring each mouthful. Outside, the eastern sky is beginning to lighten. You'll need to leave soon to reach the castle at the proper time. You can hear the neighbours now, the thud of wooden doors sliding open, muffled conversations, the crying of a baby. Your row house is in a district filled with low-ranking samurai like yourself, all of you struggling with the same problems, how to maintain dignity, while poverty gnaws at your heels. I mended your socks, your wife says, sliding a pair of white tabby toward you. The thread doesn't quite match, but no one will notice inside your sandals. You look at the neat, tiny stitches. Your wife was the daughter of a merchant before she married you. Her family had opposed the match. Why would they want their daughter to marry down into poverty? But she had insisted. Now she uses the skills learned in her comfortable childhood to keep your family from falling apart. How do the children's lessons go, you ask, pulling on the socks. Well enough. Ichiro is quick with his letters. Ume still struggles, but she tries hard. Education is one of the few advantages you can give your children. As a samurai, you're literate, expected to be familiar with the classics, able to write poetry, knowledgeable about art and culture. Most farmers and even many merchants can't read more than a few characters. Your children will have that skill at least. Tell them I'll check their work tonight, you say, standing and adjusting your swords. Your wife kneels and bows formally as you prepare to leave. Take care, my lord. The formal address is half teasing, half serious. In public, the proper forms must be maintained. Here, in the privacy of your home, you're just a husband and father trying to provide. You slide open the front door and step into the cool morning air. The sky is lightening now, streaked with pink and gold. Other samurai are emerging from their homes, all dressed similarly in dark hakama pants and kimono tops, all wearing the two swords that mark your rank, all of them just as hungry as you. Katosan, a familiar voice calls out. Your neighbour, Tanaka, emerges from his doorway. His clothes are as worn as yours, but his topknot is immaculate. Walking to the castle? Good morning, Tanaka-san, you reply with a slight bow. Yes, duty calls. Indeed it does, though I often wonder if duty could call a bit later in the morning. He falls into step beside you as you make your way toward the main street, and with better pay, you add quietly. He laughs, a short, sharp sound. Better pay, what a dream. Do you know what Nakamura told me yesterday? The rice merchant on the corner raised his prices again. Meanwhile, our stipends remain frozen in time like Mount Fuji in winter. You grunt in agreement. It's an old complaint among your class. When the Tokugawa shogunate established peace 160 years ago, they effectively ended the samurai's traditional role as warriors. Now you serve as bureaucrats, administrators, and glorified clerks. The stipend, once generous compensation for risking your life in battle, has dwindled in value while prices climb ever higher. As you walk, the streets come alive with activity. Merchants throw open their shop fronts, craftsmen begin their day's work, servants and labourers hustle about on errands. Almost everyone bows as you pass, showing proper respect to your rank. It would be satisfying if you couldn't see the irony in their eyes. Some of these merchants make 10 times what you do in a year. The silk merchant on the corner lives in a house 3 times the size of yours and employs 2 servants, yet he must bow to you because you were born a samurai and he was not. Look at that, Tanaka mutters, nodding toward a food stall where a merchant in expensive clothes is enjoying a breakfast of grilled fish and white rice. He's probably going to wash it down with sake. At breakfast, your stomach rumbles in response. You quicken your pace slightly. Did I tell you what happened with Yoshida? Tanaka asks, matching your stride. His youngest fell ill last month. Doctor's fees ate up their entire rice stipend. He had to take a side job copying documents for a merchant at night. Your blood runs cold. He could lose his position if caught. Tanaka nods grimly. 4 generations of service to the daimyo, and it could end because he needed medicine for his child. It's illegal for samurai to engage in trade or manual labor. Your position and stipend are privileges granted by your lord. To work as a commoner would do is to bring shame on yourself and your master. Yet many samurai do exactly that in secret, simply to survive. You think of the unfinished paper umbrellas hidden beneath the floorboards of your home. 3 more nights of work and the merchant will pay you enough to buy rice for 2 weeks. No one can know. The street widens as you approach the castle district. Ahead, the massive stone walls rise up, impressive and intimidating. Hundreds of samurai stream toward the gates, reporting for their daily duties. From a distance, you all look the same, proud warriors in service to your lord. No one could tell which of you ate breakfast and which did not. Another day of glory, Tanaka says, with a wry smile as you pass through the gates. Indeed, you reply, straightening your back and adopting the dignified expression expected of your rank. Another day of being hungry and important. The guards at the gate bow as you enter. Your stomach growls, but your face reveals nothing. You are samurai. Appearances must be maintained even when the reality behind them is falling apart. The morning sun finally breaks over the horizon, painting the castle towers in golden light. It's beautiful, a reminder of the culture and civilization your class has helped build and protect. There is honor in your service, even if there isn't much food. You pat the swords at your side once more, taking comfort in their weight. Hungry or not, you are samurai, and the day has just begun. The castle bustles with activity as you and Tanaka pass through the second gate. Servants scurry about carrying scrolls and tea. Higher-ranking samurai stride confidently through the courtyards, their silk clothing crisp and new. Their swords gleam in the morning light, polished by servants rather than by their own calloused hands. You bow deeply to an older samurai in expensive clothing, Lord Matsudaira's right-hand man. He barely acknowledges you with a slight nod before continuing on his way. Someday, Tanaka whispers, I'm going to be so important that I'll only have to bow that much. He demonstrates with a barely perceptible tilt of his head. You snort. And I'll be so rich, I'll eat 2 meals every day. Now you're just being ridiculous, he says, and you both laugh quietly. Laughter is free, at least, one of the few luxuries you can still afford. You part ways with Tanaka at the administrative building. He's assigned to the tax office, copying ledgers and calculating rice yields from the provinces. You're headed to the guards' quarters, where you'll spend the day supervising the castle's western gate. Not the main entrance where important visitors arrive. That post goes to samurai from wealthy families. You watch the servants' entrance, where deliveries come in and kitchen waste goes out. Caterson, the guard captain, greets you with a bow. You're assigned to the third watch today. That means midday to late afternoon. Not bad. The morning watch means standing in the cold, and the evening watch means getting home after dark when the streets aren't safe. Midday means sun, which means warmth without having to buy charcoal. Thank you, Captain, you reply with a bow of your own. The guard room is warm and smells of tea. A group of samurai sit around a low table, some playing Go, others just talking. All of them look up when you enter. Most nod in greeting. These are men like you, low-ranking samurai doing their duty, trying to maintain dignity while their purses grow lighter each year. Kato, come settle a debate, calls Ishida, a round-faced samurai with a perpetually cheerful expression despite his circumstances. Yamamoto says a true warrior would rather die than eat farm-raised fish. I say a true warrior would rather eat than die. What say you? You smile as you take your place at the table. I say it depends on how the fish is prepared. This gets a laugh from the group. Humour about food is common among you. When you can't fill your belly, you might as well fill the air with jokes about it. A servant appears with tea. You accept a cup gratefully, wrapping your hands around it for warmth. The tea is weak, the same leaves have probably been steeped 3 or 4 times already, but it's hot and it's free. 2 qualities that make anything desirable in your world. Did you hear about Nakamura? Asks Sato, an older samurai with a greying topknot. His daughter's getting married next month. To the merchant's son? Someone asks. Sato nods grimly. The Tanaka family. They import silk from Kyoto. A murmur runs through the group. It's becoming more common samurai families marrying into merchant wealth. The samurai gets financial stability. The merchant gets social status. A practical arrangement, but one that would have been unthinkable a generation ago. My own sister married a sack brewer's son, says Ishida with a shrug. Their children never go hungry. The implication hangs in the air. Unlike yours. Times change, you say diplomatically. Our grandfathers fought battles. We guard gates and copy ledgers. Perhaps our grandchildren will brew sake, or perhaps the old ways will return, says Yamamoto, the youngest of the group. His eyes shine with naive idealism. The way of the warrior is eternal. The sword is the soul of the samurai. The soul doesn't fill the stomach, mutters Sato. Speaking of which, Ishida changes the subject. My wife made rice balls with pickled plum, more than I can eat. Anyone interested? This is a familiar ritual. No one would openly admit to hunger or accept charity, but sharing food that would otherwise go to waste allows everyone to maintain their dignity. You accept a rice ball with measured casualness, as if doing Ishida a favour. Thank you. It would be shameful to let good food go uneaten. The rice ball is small but delicious, the sour plum in the centre, cutting through the blandness of the rice. You eat slowly, making it last. It might be hours before you eat again. Conversation flows around you, complaints about stipends, stories about children, rumours about court politics. The usual topics that fill the hours between duties. You listen more than you speak, conserving energy. When it's time for your watch, you and 3 other samurai make your way to the western gate. The sun is high now, warming the stone walls of the castle. Your post is a small covered platform overlooking the gate. From here, you can see everyone who comes and goes. Checking for thieves or checking for ghosts? Jokes Miyamoto, one of your watch partners, as you settle in for the long shift. Both, you reply. The thieves steal our food and the ghosts steal our sleep. The first hour passes slowly. You check wagons bringing vegetables for the castle kitchens. You verify documents carried by messengers. You bow to higher-ranking officials who pass through. Routine work that requires alertness but not much thought. Your mind wanders to the money problems waiting at home. The rice merchant must be paid next week. Your son needs new sandals for the winter. The roof leaks when it rains heavily. Each problem links to the next like beads on a string, a rosary of worries that you count throughout the day. Kato-san, Miyamoto's voice pulls you back to the present. Merchant at the gate asking for you specifically. Your heart skips. Has your secret side work been discovered? But no, you recognize the merchant approaching the gate. It's Fujiwara, one of your wife's distant cousins. He trades in cotton goods and occasionally brings small gifts for your children. You descend from the platform to meet him at the gate. Kato-san, he greets you with a deeper bow than a merchant would typically give a low-ranking samurai. Family connection warrants the extra respect. I was passing by and thought to pay my respects. Fujiwara-san, you honor me with your visit. The formal language comes automatically. A script you've both performed many times. He looks well, his kimono is of good quality cotton, his sash silk. His sandals are new. Business must be good. I visited your home yesterday, he says quietly, stepping aside so a cart can pass through the gate. Your wife mentioned the roof. You stiffen. Pride wars with necessity in your chest. It's a small matter. I'll attend to it when my duties permit. Fujiwara nods, understanding the unspoken message. He doesn't offer help directly that would shame you. Instead, he says, my warehouse received a shipment of cypress shingles yesterday, more than I ordered. I was planning to sell the excess, but perhaps you would take them off my hands. At a discount, of course. I dislike having excess inventory. This is how it's done. Not charity, but business arranged so that you can accept help without losing face. I could consider it, you say stiffly. What price were you thinking? He names a figure so low it's practically a gift. You should refuse. Your samurai pride demands it, but your leaking roof and your family's comfort argue otherwise. Acceptable, you say finally. I'll send payment next week. Fujiwara bows. No rush. The shingles aren't going anywhere. Another cart approaches, and he steps back. I won't keep you from your duties. Please give my regards to your family. You watch him go, conflicted feelings churning in your stomach, relief at solving the roof problem, shame at needing help, gratitude toward your wife's family, resentment that merchants live so comfortably while samurai struggle. The weight of the two swords at your hip seems heavier than usual. Back on the platform, Miyamoto gives you a knowing look but says nothing. Many samurai have similar arrangements with merchant relatives or friends. It's an open secret, this delicate dance between pride and survival. The afternoon wears on. The sun begins its westward descent, casting long shadows across the castle grounds. Your stomach reminds you that the rice ball was inadequate, but you ignore it. There will be food at home. Not much, perhaps, but something. A commotion at the gate draws your attention. A group of merchants has arrived with samples of silk for the lord's ladies. They're being thoroughly searched as protocol demands. Careful with those, snaps one merchant as a guard unwraps a package. That's Chinese silk, worth more than you make in a year. The guard's face darkens, but he says nothing. He can't. The merchant is right. The silk probably is worth more than a guard's annual stipend. But more importantly, the merchant is under the protection of Lord Matsudaira himself, who values fine goods from China. To insult the merchant would be to insult the lord. You watch from above, a familiar bitterness rising in your throat. The merchant wears fine clothes and speaks carelessly to warriors who could cut him down in seconds, but they won't because the peace established by the Tokugawa shogunate values commerce and stability over martial prowess. I remember when merchants knew their place, mutters Miyamoto beside you. My grandfather told stories about how they would kneel in the street when samurai passed by. Your grandfather probably ate regularly too, you reply. Miyamoto snorts. True enough. Once cleared, the merchants proceed into the castle, their precious silks re-wrapped and carried carefully. You watch them go, wondering what it would be like to handle such wealth so casually. The rest of your watch passes without incident. When your replacement arrives, you bow to the captain, collect your token of attendance, proof you completed your duty necessary for receiving your stipend, and prepare to leave. The castle is quieter now as the administrative day ends. Scribes and officials stream out of the buildings, heading home to their families. You recognize many faces, fellow low-ranking samurai, all wearing the same slightly worn clothing, all carrying the same worries home with them. At the main gate, you spot Tanaka waiting for you. "How was tax collection today?" you ask as you fall into step beside him. He grimaces. Numbers, numbers, and more numbers. The rice harvest from the northern provinces is down this year. Bad weather. That means higher prices at the market, you say with a sigh. And no increase in stipends, he adds. You both know what that means. The gap between income and expenses will widen further. More samurai will take on secret work or sell possessions to survive. As you pass through the castle gate onto the main street of Edo, the city is at its busiest. The setting sun paints everything gold, making even the shabbiest buildings look grand for a moment. Merchants are closing up shops. Food vendors call out their final offerings of the day. The smells of grilled fish, steamed buns, and sweet dango dumplings fill the air. Your stomach growls loudly. "Betrayed by your own body," Tanaka laughs. "Mine is no more loyal." A food vendor calls out to passing customers. "Last skewers of the day, special price." The grilled chicken smells heavenly. Your mouth waters involuntarily. "We could," Tanaka suggests hesitantly. "Just this once. You're tempted. The stipend won't come for another 10 days. The roof needs fixing. Your son needs sandals. But the smell. Before you can decide, a commotion further down the street catches your attention. A group of men surrounds someone, voices raised in anger. "Is that—" Tanaka squints. "Yoshida," you confirm, recognizing your fellow samurai. You and Tanaka exchange a look, then hurry toward the disturbance. As you get closer, you see Yoshida standing rigid, one hand on his sword hilt, faced by 3 angry-looking men in merchant clothing. "You can't keep delaying payment," one is saying. "Our master has been more than patient." "I've explained my situation," Yoshida replies, his voice tight. "The stipend comes next week. You'll be paid then." "That's what you said last month," says another man. "Our master's patience is at an end." You and Tanaka position yourselves behind Yoshida, forming a line of 3 samurai facing the debt collectors. The merchants notice and hesitate. "Is there a problem here?" you ask, keeping your voice level, but allowing your hand to rest casually on your sword. The lead collector looks at the 3 of you, calculates the odds, and takes a step back. "This is a private matter of business between Yoshida-san and our master." "Yoshida-san is our colleague," says Tanaka. "His matters are our concern." A small crowd has gathered to watch. This type of confrontation isn't uncommon in Edo samurai. Debt is a growing problem, and merchants are becoming bolder in their collection methods. The collector bows stiffly. We meant no disrespect. We'll return next week, as arranged. They back away, disappearing into the crowd. The spectators, disappointed that there won't be more drama, disperse as well. Yoshida's shoulders slump once they're gone. "Thank you," he says quietly. "They've been following me for days." "How much do you owe?" Tanaka asks. Yoshida names a sum that makes your heart sink. "It's more than any of you could help with." "The doctor's fees for my son," he explains, "and then food, and then..." He trails off. The story is familiar. One expense leads to debt, which leads to interest, which leads to more debt. A spiral that's increasingly common among your class. "Come," you say, making a decision. "Let's get something to eat." "I can't," Yoshida begins. "I received an advance on a private matter," you say, choosing your words carefully. The umbrella making doesn't need to be mentioned explicitly. Consider it a loan until your stipend arrives. The three of you approach the food vendor, who bows respectfully to your swords, if not your worn clothing. You order 3 skewers of grilled chicken, an extravagance, but necessary. Yoshida looks like he might collapse from hunger, and your own strength is fading after the long day. The first bite is heaven. The meat is tender, seasoned with salt and a touch of sweet sauce. You eat slowly, savoring each morsel, aware that such treats are rare. "My wife doesn't know how bad it is," Yoshida says after finishing his skewer. "I've been telling her the stipend was reduced temporarily. She thinks things will improve next month." "Will they?" Tanaka asks. Yoshida shakes his head. "I don't see how, unless..." He doesn't finish, but you understand. Unless he takes more side work, unless he sells something valuable, unless some miracle occurs. The three of you walk in silence for a while, each lost in similar thoughts. The streets grow quieter as you leave the main commercial district and enter the area where many low-ranking samurai live. The buildings here are smaller, more modest, but still maintain an appearance of respectability. Appearances matter, especially when reality is increasingly difficult. "My grandfather fought at Sekigahara," Yoshida says suddenly. "He was given his position and stipend by Lord Tokugawa himself for his bravery. The Battle of Sekigahara, 1600, the fight that established the Tokugawa shogunate and began the current era of peace. Ancient history to you, but clearly a point of pride for Yoshida." "Mine served the Maida clan in Kanazawa," Tanaka offers. "He once saved his lord from an assassin." "And yours, Kata-san?" Yoshida asks. You shrug. "A minor vassal of the Uesugi, then the Tokugawa after the unification. No grand tales of heroism. He was a scout mostly, good with maps. What you don't say is that your grandfather would be ashamed to see what has become of his legacy. A hungry descendant guarding a gate, making paper umbrellas in secret to feed his family." "Things were simpler then," says Tanaka. "You served, you fought, you died if necessary. Now we serve by pushing papers and standing at gates while our families go hungry. And merchants grow fat," adds Yoshida bitterly. "You reach the point where your paths diverge. Yoshida lives to the east, Tanaka to the north, and you to the west." "Thank you again," Yoshida says, bowing deeply, "for everything." "Take care of your son," you reply. "We'll see you at the castle tomorrow." As he walks away, Tanaka turns to you. "That was kind, buying the food." You shrug uncomfortably. "He needed it more than I needed the coins." Still, Tanaka gives you a considering look. "Not everyone would have done that. We have to look out for each other," you say. "Who else will?" Tanaka nods in agreement. "Until tomorrow, then." "Until tomorrow." You watch him go, then turn toward your own home. The sun has set now, and paper lanterns glow in windows and at crossroads. The weight of the day and the weight of your swords sits heavy on your shoulders. 2 swords, symbols of your status, your heritage, your very identity. They give you the right to walk proud through the streets of Edo. They exempt you from the taxes that burden farmers and artisans. They mark you as a member of the ruling class. But they can't be eaten. They can't patch a leaking roof. They can't buy new sandals for a growing child. You think of Yoshida, whose samurai grandfather fought at Sekigahara, reduced to dodging debt collectors in the streets. You think of yourself, descended from warriors, making paper umbrellas by candlelight to supplement your income. The world has changed around you, but the expectations haven't. You must still live as a samurai, educated, dignified, loyal to your lord, but now you must do it on a stipend that barely covers rice. As you walk, you pass a wealthy merchant's home. Lanterns illuminate a garden, visible through the open gate. Servants move about inside. The smell of a rich dinner wafts over the wall. The merchant himself sits on the veranda, enjoying the evening air, a cup of sake in his hand. He notices you passing and quickly sets down his cup to bow respectfully. You are samurai after all, he must show proper deference. You return the bow, shallower as befits your higher status, and continue on your way. The merchant returns to his sake and his comfortable life, while you walk home to your leaking roof and empty rice jar. Such is the way of things in Edo. The old order and the new reality coexisting uneasily. The moon rises over the city, casting silver light on the canal you cross. For a moment you pause on the bridge, looking at your reflection in the water below, the silhouette of a samurai, 2 swords at his hip, straight-backed and proud, hungry, worried and tired, but still samurai. With a sigh, you continue homeward. Your family is waiting, and the night is just beginning. The lantern is already lit beside your front door when you arrive home. Your wife must have placed it there, a small beacon guiding you through the darkening streets. Such a simple gesture, yet it warms something inside you that has nothing to do with physical hunger. You slide open the door, announcing your arrival with a quiet, "I'm home." Your wife appears from the inner room, bowing formally as protocol demands, even in your humble dwelling. "Welcome back, my lord." The children peek out from behind her. Your son, Ichiro, 9 years old and already trying to stand like a samurai. Your daughter, Ume, 6 years old with her mother's eyes. They bow as well, tiny formal figures in threadbare clothing. "Father," they chorus. For a moment the weight of the day falls away. Here, in this tiny house with its leaking roof and thin walls, is the reason you endure everything else. Not for the stipend, not for the status, but for these 3 people who depend on you. "How was your day?" your wife asks as she takes your outer garment. "Uneventful," you answer, the standard response that spares her the worries that plague you. "Guard duty at the western gate." "Did you cut down any bad guys?" Ichiro asks eagerly, making a slashing motion with an imaginary sword. You smile and ruffle his hair. "No bad guys today, just merchants and messengers." "Boring," he declares with the confidence of youth. "Sometimes boring is good," you tell him. "It means peace." Peace has been the way of things for over a century and a half now. The great wars that established the Tokugawa shogunate are distant history. Your grandfather might have used his swords in actual combat, but you never have and likely never will. You're trained in their use. Of course, all samurai are, but your battles are fought with ink brushes and account books, not steel. Ume tugs at your sleeve. "We made dinner," she says proudly. "I helped." "Did you now?" You let her lead you to the dining area, a corner of the main room where a small table sits low to the floor. What feast awaits me? The feast is what you expected: a small portion of rice, miso soup with a few bits of tofu floating in it and pickled vegetables. Simple fare, but prepared with care. The portions are small, carefully rationed to stretch what little you have. You notice immediately that there are only 3 settings for you and the children. Your wife has not served herself. "You're not eating?" you ask her quietly as the children settle at the table. "I ate earlier," she lies smoothly, while preparing the food. You know better, but you don't challenge her. This is her way of ensuring you and the children have enough. Tomorrow, you'll skip a meal to balance things, to maintain the delicate equilibrium that keeps your family functioning. The meal begins with the traditional words of gratitude. Even in poverty, certain forms must be observed. The samurai may bend under economic pressure, but they do not break with tradition. "Itadakimasu," you all say in unison, giving thanks for the food. The children eat quickly, hungry after a day of study and play. You eat more slowly, savouring each mouthful, aware of the effort that went into providing even this modest meal. "Tell me of your studies," you say to Ichiro. He straightens his back, eager to report. "I practiced my calligraphy and read the passage from the analects that you assigned. The superior man thinks of virtue, the small man thinks of comfort. And what does that mean to you?" you ask, curious what a 9-year-old makes of Confucian wisdom. Ichiro considers seriously that a samurai should care more about being good than being comfortable. "That's a fair interpretation," you say, surprised by his insight. "And do you agree with it?" He hesitates, glancing at the meagre food on the table. "I think being good is important, but being comfortable would be nice too." Your wife makes a small sound that might be suppressed laughter or dismay at such candid speech. You smile at your son. "Wisdom beyond your years," you tell him. "The superior man should indeed value virtue, but there's no virtue in unnecessary suffering either." Ume, not to be outdone, pipes up. "I practiced writing too, and mother taught me to sew a straight seam." "Excellent," you say, "a useful skill." "I made this," she says proudly, pulling a small cloth pouch from her sleeve, "for your medicine." The medicine she refers to is the willow bark you sometimes chew when the old training injury in your shoulder flares up. The pouch is crudely made, the stitch is uneven, but it's recognizably a pouch and not merely a scrap of fabric. "It's perfect," you tell her, accepting the gift as solemnly as if it were a masterpiece from the finest craftsman in Edo. "Thank you." She beams, her face glowing with pride. After dinner, while your wife cleans up with Ume's help, you and Ichiro sit on the small wooden platform that serves as a porch, looking out at the tiny strip of garden behind your house. The moon is rising, casting silver light on the few vegetables you've managed to grow in the poor soil, some radishes, a few spring onions, a small patch of greens. "Father," Ichiro says after a while, "why does Tanaka-san's son get to train at the fencing school when I cannot?" The question catches you off guard. Tanaka's stipend is the same as yours, but his wife came from a merchant family with more wealth than your wife's relatives. They can afford small luxuries like formal martial arts training for their son. Tanaka-san has different arrangements, you say carefully. Each family must make its own choices about how to use what they have. "But I want to be a strong samurai," Ichiro insists. "How can I learn if I don't train properly?" You place your hand on his shoulder. "There are many ways to learn, son. I will teach you what I know. And strength isn't just in the arm that holds the sword, but in the mind that decides when to use it." He doesn't look entirely convinced, but he nods dutifully. "Besides," you add, "a true samurai finds ways to improve himself no matter his circumstances." Remember the story of Miyamoto Musashi, who crafted a wooden sword when he had no proper one and still defeated his enemies. This brightens him considerably. Musashi is a hero to many young samurai boys, the legendary swordsman who never lost a duel, who fought with two swords when everyone else used one, who lived by his own rules. "Will you show me the two-sword technique?" he asks eagerly. "Someday, you promise. When you're a bit older. And when we can afford a proper Bokken training sword," you add silently. You send him inside to prepare for bed, but remain on the porch yourself, watching the night deepen over Edo. In the distance, you can see the lights of the wealthier districts, where high-ranking samurai and prosperous merchants live in spacious houses with proper gardens. Closer, the cramped quarters of your neighborhood are marked by smaller, dimmer lights, other low-ranking samurai families living lives much like yours. Your wife joins you, sitting slightly behind as propriety dictates, even when no one is watching. "The roof leaked again today," she says quietly, "just in the corner by the storage chest. I know, Fujiwara is sending some cypress shingles. I'll fix it on my rest day." She doesn't ask how you arrange this or what it will cost. Some details are better left unspoken between you. "Ichiro is growing so fast," she says instead. "His hakama are already too short, and winter is coming. Another expense you can't afford. But children can't stop growing just because their parents are poor. I'll think of something, you promise." She nods, trusting you as she always has. Her faith in you is both comforting and terrifying. What if you fail her? What if all your scrambling and secret work and careful management isn't enough? "I've been thinking," she says after a moment, her voice tentative. "My cousin Fujiwara mentioned that his wife's sister is looking for someone to teach her daughters proper etiquette and calligraphy. A lady from a good family. She would pay well," he said. You stiffen. "She's suggesting that she take on paid work, something no respectable samurai wife should do. Teaching merchant children would be beneath her status, a humiliation." "Absolutely not," you say firmly. "What would people say?" "They needn't know," she replies. "I could go once or twice a week when you're at the castle. Say I'm visiting my cousin. It's out of the question. We are not so desperate yet. But you are, and you both know it. The difference is that she's willing to swallow her pride for the family's survival while you're still clinging to the vestiges of samurai dignity." "As you wish," she says, but there's a note in her voice that suggests the conversation isn't truly over. You sit in silence for a while, the unspoken tension between you mixing with the night air. Finally, she speaks again. "What if it were a samurai family? Surely there would be no shame in that. You consider this. Teaching in a higher-ranking samurai household would indeed be acceptable for your wife. Such arrangements aren't uncommon. Lower-ranking samurai families often provide services to their superiors in exchange for favors or modest payment. If such an opportunity arose, you concede, we could consider it." She nods, satisfied with this small victory. "I'll speak with Lady Mori. I've heard her youngest daughter struggles with her calligraphy. Lady Mori is the wife of a middle-ranking samurai in your district. Not wealthy by merchant standards, but comfortable by yours. It would be a suitable arrangement." "Very well," you agree, but discreetly. "Of course." A cool breeze stirs the air, carrying the scent of the canal and the faint sounds of the city settling into night. Somewhere a samisen plays, its melancholy notes drifting over the rooftops. "We should go in," your wife says finally. "It's getting cold." Inside, the children are already asleep, curled together on their shared futon like puppies seeking warmth. You watch them for a moment, their faces peaceful in sleep, unburdened by the worries that plague you. "They're happy," your wife says softly, reading your thoughts as she often does. "That's what matters most." Yes, you agree. But for how long? Ichiro is already asking questions I don't have good answers for. Children are resilient. They accept the world as it is. Until they don't. You sigh. Soon he'll understand that other samurai families live better than we do, that his friends can afford training and new clothes while he cannot. Then he'll also understand that his father is a man of principle who puts honor above comfort, she says firmly. There's no shame in honest poverty, isn't there? The merchants don't seem to think so. They grow rich while we grow hungry, yet we're supposed to be their betters. She places a gentle hand on your arm. Don't let bitterness poison you. That's not the husband I married. Her words sting because they contain truth. You have been growing more resentful lately, watching the gap widen between your class's status and their prosperity. It's an ugly feeling, unworthy of the samurai ideal of self-discipline and acceptance. You're right, you admit, as usual. She smiles, then leaves to prepare for bed. You remain looking at your sleeping children, thinking about their future in this changing world. After a while, you go to the small chest in the corner where you keep your few valuables. Sliding it open silently, you remove a folded cloth from the bottom. Unwrapping it reveals your secret, the unfinished paper umbrellas, 5 of them, each needing only a few more hours of work before they're ready to sell. Tonight should be spent working on them. The merchant expects delivery in 3 days and you need the money, but exhaustion weighs on you like a stone. The early rising, the long guard shift, the emotional weight of the day's events, all of it has drained what little energy you had left. Tomorrow, you promise yourself, carefully rewrapping the umbrellas and returning them to their hiding place. I'll work double time tomorrow. As you prepare for bed, removing your swords and placing them carefully on their stand, you notice a small tear in your kimono sleeve. Another repair needed, another expense avoided through careful maintenance. Your wife will mend it tomorrow, her skilled fingers working the needle through the worn fabric, extending its life a little longer. You settle onto your futon beside your wife, who is already asleep, her breathing soft and regular. The house creaks gently around you, small sounds that have become as familiar as your own heartbeat. Through the thin walls, you can hear neighbors moving about, living lives parallel to yours. Other samurai families making do, holding on, preserving what dignity they can in an era that increasingly values gold over honor. Sleep comes slowly as your mind churns with worries and plans. The roof, Ichiro's clothes, the umbrella deadline, the winter stores you need to begin setting aside. Each concern connects to the next in an endless chain that wraps around your thoughts like a constrictor. Eventually, exhaustion overcomes anxiety and you drift towards sleep. As consciousness fades, you find yourself thinking of your grandfather, the scout who served the Tokugawa loyally and was rewarded with the position you now hold. What would he think of what his legacy has become? Would he understand the compromises you've made, the secret work, the borrowed shingles, the borrowed pride? You hope he would. You hope he'd see that you're doing your best to uphold what matters while adapting to a world he couldn't have imagined, a world where merchants grow fat while samurai go hungry, where peace brings its own kind of hardship. Your last thought before sleep claims you is of Yoshida, standing proud before his debt collectors, hand on his sword, the weight of generations of samurai bearing down on his shoulders. All of you trying to live by a code created for a different time, a different Japan. All of you, hungry in body but feeding your spirits with ancient pride for as long as that sustenance lasts. Morning arrives too soon, grey light seeping through the paper windows. Your body protests as you rise, muscles stiff from the hard floor and the previous day's exertions. Beside you, your wife stirs but doesn't wake. You move quietly, letting her sleep a little longer. The house is cold. The charcoal in the brazier burned out hours ago, and the morning air has a bite that warns of the coming winter. You dress quickly, adding an extra layer against the chill. In the main room, you find Ichiro already awake, practicing his calligraphy by the dim morning light. His face is screwed up in concentration, his small hand carefully guiding the brush across the paper. "You're up early," you observe softly, so as not to wake Ume. He looks up, pleased to be caught in this diligent act. "I'm practicing the characters you showed me yesterday." You kneel beside him, examining his work. His strokes are becoming more confident, though they still lack the fluid grace that comes with years of practice. Still, for a 9-year-old, it's impressive. "Good," you say. "Remember, the brush must flow like water, not stab like a sword." He nods seriously, adjusts his grip, and tries again. The resulting character is indeed more flowing, less rigid. "Better," you approve. "Now help me start the fire. Your mother and sister will be cold when they wake." Together, you coax the embers in the brazier back to life, adding small pieces of charcoal carefully too precious to waste. As warmth slowly returns to the room, you prepare a simple breakfast of leftover rice porridge, thinned with water and heated with a few pickled vegetables added for flavor. The smell rouses your wife and daughter. Soon the four of you are seated around the small table, steam rising from the bowls of hot porridge. "Itadakimasu," you say together, the same ritual as always, giving thanks for even this meager meal. As you eat, you discuss the day ahead. Your wife will visit Lady Mori to inquire about teaching her daughter. Ichiro will continue his studies and help with household chores. Ume will accompany your wife as she's still too young to stay home alone. You have guard duty again, this time at the eastern gate. It's a busier post where merchants and officials enter the castle more frequently. More responsibility, more attention required, but the same stipend. "I may be late tonight," you tell your wife. "There's a matter I need to attend to after my shift." She meets your eyes briefly, understanding what you're not saying. The umbrellas, the deadline, the secret work. "We'll keep dinner for you," she says simply. After breakfast, you prepare to leave, donning your outer garment and securing your swords at your hip. The routine is so familiar you could do it blindfolded, tying the cords just so, positioning the scabbards at precisely the right angle. These small details matter. A samurai's appearance must be impeccable regardless of what lies beneath. Ichiro watches you with undisguised admiration. To him, the swords are still symbols of heroism and adventure, not the complicated mixed blessing you've come to see them as. "When I'm a samurai, I'll have swords like yours," he declares. You ruffle his hair. "Indeed you will, these very ones, when the time comes." His eyes widen. "Really? Your swords will be mine?" "That's how it works," you tell him. "From father to son, generation to generation. These swords have been in our family for 3 generations already. One day they'll be yours to pass to your son." He reaches out tentatively to touch the hilt of your katana, his small fingers brushing the worn silk wrapping. "I'll take good care of them," he promises solemnly. "I know you will." You straighten up, adjusting your clothing one last time. "But that's many years away. For now, take good care of your mother and sister while I'm gone." He stands at attention, every inch the samurai in training. "Yes, father." With a final nod to your wife, you step outside into the cool morning air. Other samurai are emerging from their homes as well, all heading toward the castle for their daily duties. You fall into step with Tanaka, who lives 3 houses down. "Another day of glory," he says with his usual wry smile. "Indeed," you reply, straightening your back and lifting your chin slightly. "Whatever the day brings, hunger, humiliation, hard choices, you'll face it as you always do, with the dignity of a samurai and the quiet desperation of a poor man." The eastern gate of the castle bustles with activity as merchants, officials, and messengers stream in and out. Your post is on a raised platform overlooking the entrance, giving you a clear view of everyone who passes. Beside you, two other low-ranking samurai keep watch, their faces as carefully neutral as your own. Guard duty is tedious but not difficult. You check papers, verify identities, watch for suspicious behavior. Occasionally, you escort particularly important visitors to their destinations within the castle. The hours pass slowly, marked by the changing angle of the sun and the gradual emptying of your water flask. By midday, your stomach is growling again. The thin porridge from breakfast did little to satisfy your hunger, and lunch is still hours away. You ignore the discomfort as best you can, focusing instead on your duties. "Kato-san," says Watanabe, one of your fellow guards. "There's a merchant requesting entry who doesn't appear on today's list." You move to the gate where a well-dressed merchant waits, flanked by two servants carrying large wooden boxes. He bows when he sees you, but there's a confidence in his posture that suggests he's accustomed to getting his way. "Good day, honorable samurai," he says smoothly. "I am Nakamura Jinsuke, purveyor of fine textiles to Lord Matsudaira. I have samples of new silks from Kyoto that I believe the Lord's ladies will find most interesting." You check the list of approved visitors. Nakamura's name is indeed absent. "I apologize, Nakamura-san, but you're not on today's approved list. I cannot grant you entry without proper authorization." The merchant's smile doesn't waver. "A mere oversight, I assure you. Lord Matsudaira's chief steward Ishida-san is expecting me. Perhaps you could send word to him." It's a reasonable request, but something about the merchant's manner makes you hesitate. His clothes are too fine, his manner too smooth. Most merchants who regularly do business with the castle know the protocols well. "I will need to verify this with my superior first," you say. "Please wait here." You signal to Watanabe to watch the merchant while you step aside to consult with the guard captain, who listens to your concerns with a frown. "Nakamura. I don't recall that name among the Lord's regular merchants, and Ishida hasn't mentioned any textile delivery today." The captain thinks for a moment. "I'll send a runner to check with Ishida directly. Keep the merchant waiting until we hear back." You return to the gate where Nakamura waits, his smile now tinged with impatience. "My captain is verifying your appointment with Ishida-san," you inform him. "It should only take a few minutes." The merchant's smile slips slightly. "This is most inconvenient. The textiles are sensitive to light and air. Each moment they remain in these boxes diminishes their value. I understand your concern, but protocol must be followed." Nakamura studies you for a moment, then reaches into his sleeve and withdraws a small package wrapped in silk cloth. "Perhaps this would help expedite matters," he says quietly, offering it to you. You don't need to open it to know what it contains. Coins, almost certainly. A bribe. Time seems to slow as you consider your options. The package would contain more money than you'd see in months of umbrella making. Enough to fix the roof properly, buy winter clothes for the children, stock up on rice for the cold months ahead. No one would know the captain is busy, Watanabe is checking another visitor, and the merchant clearly knows how to be discreet. But the shame would be unbearable. Taking bribes violates everything it means to be samurai. Your stipend may be inadequate, your family may go hungry, but your honor is the one thing you've managed to preserve intact. "You misunderstand me, Nakamura-san," you say coldly. "I am samurai. I cannot be bought." For a moment, naked anger flashes across the merchant's face, quickly masked by a forced smile. Of course. I meant no offense. The package contains merely samples of silk thread, which I thought might interest you professionally. You both know it's a lie, but you allow him the pretense." I have no need for silk samples. Please put them away. Before the situation can grow more awkward, a runner appears with a message from Ishida. As you suspected, there is no appointment with any textile merchant today. I regret to inform you that Ishida-san is not expecting you, you tell Nakamura. I cannot grant you entry to the castle today. Perhaps you could return tomorrow after arranging a proper appointment. The merchant's face darkens with anger, but he controls himself. Very well. I shall do that. Good day, samurai. He leaves with his servants, the silk-wrapped package tucked back into his sleeve. You watch him go, wondering how many other guards he'll try to bribe before the day is out. How many would accept? What was that about? Watanabe asks when he returns to your post. A merchant without an appointment, you say simply. Nothing important. The incident leaves a sour taste in your mouth, not because you were tempted you weren't, not really, but because it highlighted once again the upside-down nature of your world. A merchant wealthy enough to casually offer bribes, trying to purchase the integrity of a samurai who can barely feed his family. The old order twisted into something unrecognizable. The rest of your shift passes without incident. By late afternoon, you're exhausted, hungry, and eager to be done with your official duties so you can attend to your unofficial ones. When your relief arrives, you bow to the guard captain, collect your attendance token, make your way through the castle grounds toward the main gate. The setting sun paints the stone walls gold and crimson, a beautiful sight that you're too tired to properly appreciate. Instead of heading directly home, you turn toward the commercial district of Edo. The streets are still busy with late shoppers and merchants closing up their stalls. You keep your head high, your bearing proud, even as your empty stomach reminds you of your circumstances. After several turns through increasingly narrow streets, you reach a small shop tucked between a cooper's workshop and a paper seller. The sign above the door reads Takahashi Crafts in simple, elegant characters. You slide open the door and step inside. The shop is dim, lit only by a few oil lamps. Shelves line the walls, displaying an assortment of crafts, lacquerware, wooden combs, paper goods, umbrellas. At the back, an old man sits at a low table, carefully applying gold leaf to a small box. "Ah, Katasan," he says without looking up from his work. "Right on time. Takahashi is a craftsman, not a merchant, though he sells his own goods and those made by others. He's one of the few people who know about your secret work." "Good evening, Takahashi-san," you reply, bowing slightly. "I've come about the umbrellas." He sets aside his tools and rises slowly, his old joints protesting audibly. "Yes, yes, let's talk in the back." You follow him through a curtained doorway into a small room that serves as both workshop and living quarters. A young man, Takahashi's apprentice, is working at a table, painting designs on wooden fan frames. He bows respectfully when you enter, but continues his work. "Tea?" Takahashi offers. "Thank you. No," you decline. "I cannot stay long." The old man nods understanding. "The umbrellas, then?" "The merchant was here yesterday. He's very pleased with your work, especially the cherry blossom design. He wants 6 more by the end of the month." 6 more? That would mean working every night for at least 2 weeks. Exhausting, but the payment would be substantial. "That's good news," you say hesitantly, "but I was hoping to have payment for the current batch today. My roof." "Ah, yes," Takahashi interrupts, reaching into his sleeve. "I negotiated a partial payment in advance." He hands you a small cloth bag that clinks with the unmistakable sound of coins. You resist the urge to count them immediately, that would be undignified, but the weight suggests a fair amount. "Thank you," you say, tucking the bag into your own sleeve. "I'll deliver the finished umbrellas tomorrow." "No rush," the old man says kindly. "The day after would be fine. You look tired, Katasan." His concern is genuine, which somehow makes it more difficult to bear. Takahashi knows your situation, not the full details, but enough to understand why a samurai would be secretly making paper umbrellas for sale. He never mentions it directly, preserving your dignity, but his quiet compassion is sometimes harder to endure than the indifference of others. "I am well," you insist. 6 more by the end of the month will be no problem. Takahashi studies you for a moment, then nods. "Very well. Will you be needing more paper or bamboo?" "Paper, yes, the thin kind for the cherry blossom design. I'll set some aside for you. Good quality, from Kyoto." Business concluded, you bow and prepare to leave. As you turn to go, Takahashi speaks again, his voice softer. "Kato-san, my nephew is a carpenter, a good one. If your roof needs attention." You stiffen. Has your wife been talking to Lady Mori, who then spoke to Takahashi? "How many people know of your struggles?" "My roof is fine," you say sharply, "but thank you for your concern." The old man bows, accepting the rebuff without offense. "Of course, until tomorrow then." Outside, the streets are darker now, lanterns glowing in windows and at crossroads. You walk quickly, the coin bag a comforting weight in your sleeve, enough to buy rice, charcoal, and perhaps some dried fish as a treat for the children, enough to begin saving for winter clothes. Not enough for a proper roof repair, but combined with Fujiwara's discounted shingles, it might be sufficient. As you walk, you pass through the entertainment district, where tea houses and restaurants cater to those with money to spend on pleasure. The smell of grilled eel and steamed buns makes your mouth water, reminding you that you've eaten almost nothing all day. On impulse, you stop at a small food stall and buy 3 rice balls with pickled plum centers, 1 for each child and your wife. The vendor wraps them carefully in bamboo leaves, and you tuck the package into your kimono next to the coin bag. A small extravagance, but they deserve it. The residential district is quiet when you reach it. Most families are already inside, preparing for the night. Light glows behind paper windows, and the occasional sound of conversation or laughter drifts through the evening air. As you approach your home, you notice a figure waiting outside your door, a samurai, based on the silhouette of the 2 swords at his hip. For a moment, your heart races with alarm. Has your secret work been discovered? Are you to be arrested for violating the strict class divisions? But as you draw closer, you recognize Yoshida, the samurai you and Tanaka helped the previous day. "Yoshida-san," you call out softly. "What brings you here at this hour?" He turns, bowing when he sees you. "Kato-san, forgive the intrusion. I wanted to speak with you privately." Something in his manner puts you on alert. He seems nervous, glancing frequently over his shoulder as if expecting to be followed. "Come inside," you offer. "My family will be glad to see you." He shakes his head. "No, it's better if we speak out here. I won't take much of your time." Curious now, you nod and lead him a short distance from your door to a small space between houses where you're less likely to be overheard. "What troubles you, Yoshida-san?" He takes a deep breath, as if gathering courage. "I wanted to thank you properly for your help yesterday. With the debt collectors." "There's no need for thanks. We look after our own." "Yes, but—" He glances around again, then lowers his voice. "I also wanted to warn you and ask your advice." "Warn me? About what?" "The debt collectors. They work for Nakamura Jinsuke." The name strikes you like a physical blow. "The textile merchant?" Yoshida nods grimly. "You know him? He tried to bribe me at the castle gate today. I refused him entry." Yoshida's face pales. "Then you need to be careful. He's not just a merchant. He's connected to certain elements in the city, people who don't take rejection well." You process this information slowly. Are you saying he might seek revenge because I wouldn't accept his bribe? I'm saying he has a reputation for holding grudges, and he has friends in low places who do his dirty work. The warning sends a chill through you that has nothing to do with the evening air. You think of your family sleeping peacefully behind paper walls that offer no protection against those who might wish them harm. Thank you for telling me this, you say, your mind already racing ahead to precautions you'll need to take. But why would you put yourself at risk to warn me? Yoshida looks down, embarrassed. You helped me when I needed it, and... He hesitates. I need to ask for your help again, your advice, at least. Of course, if I can. He lowers his voice further. I've been offered work, secret work, well paid. Your body tenses. This conversation has suddenly become dangerous for both of you. What kind of work, you ask carefully? Writing, copying documents for a merchant house, at night in their office. No one would know. It's exactly the kind of secret employment many low-ranking samurai resort to, using their literacy to earn extra money. Not as dishonorable as manual labor, perhaps, but still forbidden by the strict codes that govern your class. And you want my advice on whether to take it, you state, rather than ask. He nods, his face a mask of conflicted emotions. My son's medicine, the debts. I don't see another way, but if I'm caught... If he's caught, he'll be stripped of his samurai status. His family will be disgraced. His son will lose any chance of inheriting his father's position. Everything his ancestors built over generations will end with him. You should advise against it. Tell him to uphold his honor at all costs. That's what a proper samurai would say. But you think of your own paper umbrellas hidden beneath the floorboards, of the coins in your sleeve earned through secret labor. Who are you to judge? I cannot tell you what to do, Yoshida-san, you say finally. Each man must make his own choice based on his circumstances. But what would you do? He presses. If you were in my position. You look at him steadily. I would do whatever was necessary to protect my family. Honor is important, but it won't feed a hungry child or buy medicine for a sick one. Something passes between you and understanding, an acknowledgement of the impossible position you both find yourselves in. Samurai expected to live by ancient codes in a world that no longer values them. Thank you, he says simply. That helps. Be careful, you warn. If you decide to take the work, tell no one, not even your wife, if she can't keep the secret. The fewer who know, the safer you'll be. He nods, then bows deeply. I won't forget your kindness, Kata-san. Nor I yours, you reply, thinking of his warning about Nakamura. Now go home to your family. It's getting late. You watch him disappear into the darkening streets, his silhouette just one more samurai among many, indistinguishable from a distance, each carrying their own burdens, making their own compromises, trying to reconcile what they were born to be with what they must become to survive. When he's gone, you turn back to your own door and slide it open quietly, not wanting to wake the family if they're already asleep. But they're awake, waiting for you. Your wife kneels by the small hearth, keeping a pot of soup warm. The children look up from their game of Go, faces lighting up when they see you. Father, Ume runs to you, propriety forgotten in her excitement. Did you see any bandits today? You smile, ruffling her hair. No bandits today, just merchants and messengers. Boring, she pronounces, echoing her brother's assessment from the previous day. Sometimes boring is good, you remind her, setting down your swords and removing your outer garment. Your wife rises gracefully and takes your clothing, her eyes questioning. She can tell something is troubling you, but won't ask directly with the children present. I brought something, you say, producing the package of rice balls. A small feast. The children's eyes widen at this unexpected treat. Even your wife looks surprised and pleased. "What's the occasion?" Ichiro asks, trying to sound casual, though his eyes never leave the food. "Do we need an occasion to celebrate being together?" You counter, kneeling at the low table. You distribute the rice balls, keeping none for yourself despite your hunger. The joy on their faces as they eat is nourishment enough for now. You'll have soup later, after they're asleep and you've started work on the umbrellas. "How was your visit with Lady Mori?" you ask your wife as the children enjoy their treat. "Very promising," she replies, a hint of satisfaction in her voice. Her daughter indeed struggles with calligraphy. "I'm to begin teaching her tomorrow afternoon." "That's good news," you say, genuinely pleased for her. Teaching in a higher-ranking samurai household is respectable work for your wife, and the payment, while modest, will help ease your financial strain. "And you?" she asks. "Your errand?" "Also successful," you say, patting your sleeve where the coin bag rests. "I'll tell you more later," she nods, understanding. After the children finish their rice balls, you listen to Ichiro read from a text on Confucian ethics, while Ume shows you her latest sewing project, a small pouch similar to the one she made for you, but with neater stitches. Your praise makes her beam with pride. "Time for bed," your wife announces when Uma begins to yawn. Your father needs to rest after his long day. The children protest mildly, but obey, preparing their futons in the small sleeping area. You help tuck them in, promising stories tomorrow night if they're good. Once they're settled, you and your wife sit by the dying embers of the hearth, speaking in low voices. "What happened?" she asks directly. "Something's troubling you." You consider withholding the encounter with Nakamura and Yoshida's warning, not wanting to worry her, but your wife has always been your closest confidant, your partner in navigating the treacherous waters of samurai poverty. She deserves the truth, so you tell her everything: the bribe attempt, the connection to Yoshida's debt collectors, the warning. Her face grows increasingly concerned as you speak. "This merchant sounds dangerous," she says when you finish. "Perhaps you should speak to your captain about him." You shake your head. "And say what? That he tried to bribe me? That would only raise questions about why he thought a samurai might accept such an offer." "No, it's better to be cautious and watchful." "At least tell Tanaka," she urges, "so someone else knows." "I'll consider it," you promise, though you're reluctant to involve anyone else. The fewer who know about Nakamura's grudge, the better. You take out the coin bag and count its contents enough for rice, charcoal, and still some left over. Combined with what your wife will earn teaching Lady Mori's daughter, you might even have enough to buy Ichiro new winter clothes without touching the roof repair funds. "Takahashi wants 6 more umbrellas by the end of the month," you tell her, returning the coins to the bag. "The cherry blossom design." She frowns. "That's a lot of work. You're already exhausted." "It's good money," you counter. "And winter is coming. We need the extra income." She doesn't argue further, knowing you're right. Instead, she rises and goes to the storage chest, removing a package wrapped in cloth. "I finished the one you were working on," she says, handing it to you. "While you were at the castle, you unwrap the package to find one of your paper umbrellas, the cherry blossom design completed with delicate pink flowers against the pale paper. Your wife's brushwork is finer than yours, the flowers more lifelike. You shouldn't have risked it," you say, though you're grateful for her help. "If someone had come..." The children were at their lessons with the neighborhood tutor. No one saw. She touches the umbrella gently. "Besides, I enjoy the painting. It reminds me of when my father taught me as a girl." Another pang of guilt. Your wife was raised to appreciate art and beauty, not to hide in a cramped house painting umbrellas in secret to make ends meet. She deserves better than what you've been able to provide. As if reading your thoughts, she places her hand on yours. "Stop that," she says firmly. "I can see you blaming yourself again. This is our life, not just yours. We face it together." Her strength humbles you, as it always has. In many ways, she's braver than you, more willing to adapt, to do what needs to be done without worrying about appearances or ancient codes. "I don't deserve you," you say simply. She smiles, a rare, full smile that transforms her tired face. "Probably not, but you're stuck with me anyway." You laugh softly, feeling some of the day's tension ease. A fortunate fate. The night deepens around your small home. Beyond the paper walls, Edo settles into darkness. A city of contradictions where wealth and poverty exist side by side, where ancient traditions clash with new realities. Tomorrow will bring new challenges, new compromises, new moments of both pride and humiliation. But for now, in this quiet moment with your wife, you find a measure of peace. Not happiness, exactly. That's a luxury beyond your reach. But contentment of a sort, the knowledge that whatever comes, you face it together. The umbrella sits between you, its cherry blossoms pale in the dim light. A symbol of your divided existence, samurai by day, craftsman by night. Not the life you were born to, perhaps, but the one you've made. And somehow, despite everything, it's enough. Morning arrives with the gentle patter of rain on your leaking roof. A steady drip, drip, drip falls into the wooden bucket you placed beneath the worst spot before going to bed. The sound marks time like a water clock, measuring the moments of your brief rest. You rise before the others, moving quietly through the dim house. Sleep came late and left early, stolen hours between umbrella work and worry. Your back aches from hunching over the delicate paper and bamboo frames, and your eyes burn from straining in the poor light. Today is your rest day from castle duties, a blessing, as the roof won't fix itself. You slide open the door and step onto the small wooden platform that serves as a porch, surveying the morning. The rain is light but persistent, a fine mist that soaks everything slowly but thoroughly. Not ideal for roof work, but you can't afford to wait for perfect weather. Fujiwara's cypress shingles were delivered yesterday while you were at the castle, stacked neatly by the side of the house and covered with oiled paper to keep them dry. Good quality wood, worth far more than the nominal price you'll pay. Another debt of gratitude you can never fully repay. You're up early. Your wife's voice startles you. She stands in the doorway, a thin shawl wrapped around her shoulders against the morning chill. "The roof won't wait," you say, gesturing at the grey sky. "Better to fix it now before the rains get heavier." She joins you on the porch, looking critically at the shingles. "Will you need help?" "No, I can manage. You have your teaching to prepare for." She nods, but her eyes linger on your face, noting the fatigue you try to hide. "Did you sleep at all?" "Enough," you lie. "The umbrellas are coming along well. I finished 2 more last night." "You're pushing yourself too hard." "We need the money." It's an old argument, one neither of you will win. The needs of your family constantly war with the limitations of your body and time. Something must always give sleep, usually. "I'll make breakfast," she says, changing the subject. "The children will be up soon." While she busies herself in the kitchen area, you examine the roof more carefully from below. The damaged section isn't large, but the leak has worsened since last winter. Left unrepaired, it could compromise the entire roof structure, a far more expensive problem than you could possibly afford. By the time you've gathered your tools and prepared the work area, the children are awake and breakfast is ready. Rice porridge again, though slightly thicker than yesterday's, with a few dried fish flakes sprinkled on top. a luxury made possible by yesterday's payment. "Are you fixing the roof today, father?" Ichiro asks between mouthfuls. "Yes, it's good timing with my rest day and the light rain. It will show me exactly where the leaks are." "Can I help?" he asks eagerly. You consider the roof work isn't particularly dangerous, and an extra pair of hands, even small ones, would be useful. Besides, a samurai should know how to maintain his home, not a traditional skill taught to warrior sons, but a necessary one in these lean times. "Yes," you decide. "You can hand me the tools and shingles, but you must follow my instructions exactly. Understood?" He nods solemnly, pleased to be included in this man's work. Ume looks disappointed at being left out. "And you tell her, can help by keeping the work area clear below. When we remove the old shingles, they'll fall down. You can stack them neatly for burning later." This responsibility brightens her mood considerably. Even at 6, she understands the importance of not wasting anything. Not even damaged roof shingles that can provide a night's warmth in the brazier. After breakfast, you begin work immediately. The rain has slackened to a drizzle, making conditions tolerable, if not ideal. You position the ladder borrowed from a neighbor against the side of the house and climb carefully, carrying a small pouch of tools. Ichiro follows halfway up, positioning himself to hand you shingles and tools as needed. Below, Ume waits with a small basket, ready to collect the fallen debris. The damaged section is worse than it appeared from below. Water has seeped under several shingles, rotting the wooden supports beneath. You'll need to replace those as well. Fortunately, Fujiwara included some support pieces with the shingles, as if anticipating the extent of the damage. "Hand me the pry bar," you tell Ichiro, who digs through the tool pouch until he finds the small metal implement. Carefully, you begin removing the damaged shingles, passing them down to Ichiro, who drops them to Ume below. The work is slow and methodical, requiring concentration. Each shingle must be removed without damaging its neighbors, and the rotten supports must be cut out precisely so the new ones fit properly. As you work, you talk to Ichiro about the process, explaining each step. See how the water follows the path of least resistance? That's why the overlap between shingles is so important. It forces the water to flow over rather than through. He absorbs everything eagerly, asking intelligent questions about the wood, the tools, the techniques. You find yourself enjoying the teaching as much as he enjoys the learning. This kind of practical knowledge wasn't part of your own education as a samurai son. You were taught swordsmanship, literature, ethics, calligraphy. Roof repair you learned by necessity, watching others and then trying it yourself through trial and error. By midday, you've removed all the damaged materials and begun installing the new supports. The rain has stopped, though the sky remains overcast. Your wife brings out tea and rice balls for a quick meal, which you eat perched on the ladder and roof. "It looks good," she comments, surveying your progress from below. "Will you finish today?" "Yes, before evening. The new cypress will last for years." She nods approval, then glances at the position of the sun. "I should prepare for my lesson with Lady Mori's daughter. We're beginning with basic brush strokes today." "Go," you urge. "We're fine here." After she leaves with Uma, who will accompany her to Lady Mori's house, you and Ichiro return to work with renewed energy. The new support pieces fit snugly into place, and the cypress shingles are a pleasure to work with, straight-grained, properly dried, precisely cut. They interlock perfectly, creating a watertight barrier that should easily withstand the coming winter rains. "Hand me the last one," you tell Ichiro, reaching down. He passes up the final shingle, a satisfied smile on his face. "We did it, father." "Yes, we did." You position the shingle and secure it with practiced movements. Now we'll seal the edges with pine pitch to be extra sure. The pitch, another gift from Fujiwara, though he called it leftover from another project, is dark and sticky, difficult to apply neatly, but it fills the small gaps between shingles, hardening quickly in the cool air to form a waterproof seal. There, you say finally, sitting back on your heels to survey the completed work. That should hold through winter and beyond. Ichiro beams with pride at your shared accomplishment. It looks better than before. That's because the new cypress hasn't weathered yet. In time, it will turn grey, like the rest of the roof. You gather the tools and descend the ladder, muscles aching from the unaccustomed positions. Ichiro follows, jumping from the third rung with boyish exuberance. Careful, you admonish gently. A samurai moves with control, not haste. He straightens immediately, adopting a more dignified posture that makes you hide a smile, so eager to be grown, to be a proper samurai like his father. If only he understood what that truly means in this changing world. Inside, you store the tools, carefully borrowed items that must be returned in good condition. The remaining shingles you stack in the small storage area behind the house. There aren't many, but enough for minor repairs should they be needed. The house feels emptier without your wife and Uma. Ichiro uses the quiet time to practice his calligraphy while you clean up from the roof work, washing the pine pitch from your hands with rice bran and water. As you dry your hands, you notice a small tear in your kimono sleeve, another repair needed. You take out the sewing box and thread a needle, preparing to mend it yourself rather than waiting for your wife to return. Father, Ichiro says, looking up from his practice. Is it true that merchants are richer than samurai now? The question catches you off guard. Where did you hear that? He shrugs, looking uncomfortable. Tanaka's son said his father told him that merchants have all the money while samurai have all the honor. He said honor doesn't fill rice bowls. A surprisingly adult observation from a child, and painfully accurate. It's complicated, you begin, searching for words that will preserve his respect for his heritage without lying to him. In the old days, samurai were warriors who served their lords in battle. They were rewarded with land and rice stipends. But now, after many generations of peace, our role has changed. We serve as administrators, guards, officials. The stipends haven't changed with the times. But we're still better than merchants, right? We're samurai. His young face is earnest, seeking reassurance. You set aside your mending and look at him directly. Being samurai isn't about being better than others. It's about living by a code of honor, serving loyally, doing what is right even when it's difficult. Merchants serve society in their own way by providing goods and services. We each have our place. But Tanaka's son says his father says some samurai are taking merchant jobs in secret because they're hungry. Your heart races. How much does Tanaka's son know? How much has he told Ichiro? That would be wrong, you say carefully. Samurai are forbidden from engaging in trade or manual labor. It would dishonor their lord and their ancestors. Even if their children are hungry, he presses, unwittingly striking at your deepest conflict. You take a deep breath. A true samurai finds honorable ways to provide for his family. Sometimes that means making sacrifices. Ichiro considers this, then returns to his calligraphy with a thoughtful expression. You resume your mending, wondering if your answer satisfied him, wondering how long before he realizes the sacrifices his own father makes, the compromises with honor you've rationalized away. The afternoon deepens toward evening. You finish mending your kimono and check on the rice for dinner. There's not much you'll need to visit the rice merchant tomorrow with some of yesterday's earnings. For tonight, you'll stretch what remains with barley and dried vegetables. Common practice among poor samurai families. Your wife and Ume return as the sun begins to set, bringing with them the damp, cool air of early evening. Ume chatters excitedly about Lady Mori's house, the size, the garden, the beautiful kimono worn by her daughter. "And mother was amazing," she announces proudly. "Lady Mori said she writes more beautifully than the tutor they had before." Your wife blushes at this praise, but doesn't deny it. "Lady Mori was very kind. She's asked me to come 3 times a week to teach both her daughters. The younger one will begin with basic strokes, while the older needs help with composition." "That's excellent news," you say, genuinely pleased for her. The arrangement is perfect, respectable work that uses her skills and education while providing additional income for the family. "Did she mention payment?" "Yes." Your wife's eyes sparkle with quiet satisfaction. "She's offering 2 silver momme per week, and—" she hesitates. "She also gave me these." From her sleeve, she produces a small package wrapped in silk cloth. Inside are 2 lengths of cotton fabric, not the finest quality, but good, sturdy material in a deep blue colour. "For winter clothes for the children," she explains. "Lady Mori said they were left over from garments made for her own children, but there's more than enough for both Ichiro and Ume. It's a thoughtful gift, offered in a way that preserves your dignity, not charity, but a practical use for leftover materials." Still, you feel the familiar twist of shame at accepting help, even in this form. Your wife reads your expression and touches your arm gently. "It would be rude to refuse," she reminds you, "and the children need warm clothes for winter." She's right, of course. Pride won't keep your children warm when the snow falls. "Lady Mori is generous," you say finally. "Please convey our thanks when you see her next." Ume runs her fingers over the fabric wonderingly. "It's so soft. Can I have a blue kimono like Lady Mori's daughter?" "We'll see," your wife says, rewrapping the fabric carefully. "First, let's have dinner. I'm sure your father and brother are hungry after their roof work." You gather around the low table as your wife serves the meagre meal rice and barley porridge with pickled vegetables and a small portion of dried fish divided 4 ways. Not much, but together with the sense of accomplishment from the roof repair and the good news about your wife's teaching position, it feels almost like a celebration. "Tomorrow we'll go to the rice merchant," you tell your wife as the children eat, "and perhaps the fishmonger as well. We can afford a little extra now." She nods, a small smile playing at the corners of her mouth. "These are modest plans by most standards, but for your family they represent a rare moment of financial breathing room." After dinner, as the children help clear away the dishes, you take out a worn book from the small shelf that holds your few precious volumes. This one contains samurai legends and historical accounts, stories passed down through generations. "Shall I read tonight?" you ask, though it's hardly a question. Storytime is a nightly ritual when you're home, eagerly anticipated by the children. They settle quickly, sitting formally on their knees as you open the book to a familiar tale, the 47 Ronin who avenged their master's forced suicide, knowing they would be executed for their actions. It's a story of loyalty, sacrifice, and honor-core samurai values packaged in an exciting narrative that captures the children's imagination. You read with expression, giving each character a distinct voice, building tension as the Ronin execute their careful plan. Ichiro listens with rapt attention, occasionally mouthing the words he's memorized from previous readings. Ume's eyes grow heavy halfway through, her small body leaning increasingly against her mother's side. When the tale concludes with the Ronin committing ritual suicide, after completing their revenge, a detail you soften considerably for young ears, Ichiro sighs with satisfaction. "That's how samurai should be," he declares, "loyal no matter what." "Yes," you agree, closing the book. Loyalty is essential, but remember, the Ronin didn't just act rashly. They planned carefully, considering all consequences. A samurai must be thoughtful as well as brave. I would have done the same, he says confidently, to avenge my master. You smile at his certainty. Let's hope you never face such a choice. After the children are tucked into their futons, you and your wife sit by the dying embers of the cooking fire, speaking softly to avoid waking them. The roof looks good, she observes. Ichiro was very proud to help. He did well, asked good questions, paid attention. He wants to be like you, she says simply. The comment, meant as praise, sends a pang through your heart. Like you, a samurai making paper umbrellas in secret, accepting discounted roof shingles and leftover fabric, stretching rice with barley to make it last. Is that what you want for your son? I want better for him, you admit quietly. But I don't see how, in this world where merchants grow rich while samurai grow poor. Your wife is silent for a moment, then says, perhaps the world is changing faster than we realize. The old boundaries between classes aren't as rigid as they once were. Look at Nakamura's daughter marrying the merchant's son. That's different. She's gaining wealth by giving up status. What options does Ichiro have? His birthright is his status as samurai, but what good is that if he can't support a family on his stipend? She considers this, her clever mind turning over possibilities. There are paths opening that didn't exist before, new kinds of service to the lord or the shogun, diplomatic roles, advisory positions for those with education and intelligence, all requiring connections we don't have, you point out, or bribes we can't afford. Then we save, she says firmly. We put aside a little from my teaching and your additional work, not for ourselves, but for Ichiro's future, to create opportunities. The idea takes hold in your mind, a long-term plan beyond just surviving the next winter or repairing the next leak. Something to work toward, to hope for. Yes, you agree slowly. We could do that. It wouldn't need to be much, just something set aside regularly. Even a mountain can be moved one stone at a time, she quotes, a proverb her merchant father was fond of repeating. You smile at her practical wisdom. Very well, beginning tomorrow we save something from each payment, no matter how small. She nods, satisfied, then stifles a yawn. The day has been long for both of you. You should rest, you tell her. I have a few more stitches to finish on the umbrella, then I'll join you. She eyes you skeptically, knowing a few stitches often turns into hours of work, but doesn't argue. Rising gracefully, she checks on the children one last time before retiring to your shared futon. Left alone, you don't immediately return to the umbrella work. Instead, you sit quietly, considering your wife's suggestion, saving for Ichiro's future, a small act of defiance against the limitations of your class and circumstances. It won't change the fundamental inequities of the system, but it might create a single crack through which your son could glimpse a different life. Outside, the night is clear after the day's rain. Through the small window, you can see stars scattered across the dark sky like grains of salt on black lacquer. The same stars your ancestors saw, the same stars future generations will see long after you're gone. What will they make of this time, those future generations? Will they look back on the struggles of low-ranking samurai with pity, with incomprehension? Will they understand the contradiction of being both privileged and poor, respected and desperate? These thoughts drift through your mind like fallen leaves on a stream, neither held nor fully released. Philosophical musings are a luxury of the well-fed, yet they come unbidden even to the hungry. Eventually, you rouse yourself and return to work on the umbrella. The cherry blossom design requires delicate brushwork, each petal carefully placed to create the illusion of flowers caught in a gentle breeze. Your hand is less steady than you'd like after the day's physical labor, but the work is still acceptable. Takahashi and his merchant client won't complain. Time slips away as you focus on the task. The house grows quiet around you, the only sounds the soft breathing of your sleeping family and the occasional creak of the settling structure. The new roof section holds firm against a brief shower that passes over Edo, the cypress shingles turning away the rain as they should. When the umbrella is finally complete, you set it aside to dry and stretch your cramped muscles. Your eyes burn with fatigue and your back protests the hours of hunched posture. Still, there's satisfaction in the completed work, not just the umbrella itself, but the roof repair, the plan for savings, the small steps towards stability for your family. You bank the embers of the cooking fire carefully. Charcoal is too precious to waste, and check that the doors are secure before finally lying down beside your sleeping wife. Her breathing is deep and regular, her face peaceful in repose. Tomorrow will bring new challenges, the rice merchant to negotiate with, more umbrellas to work on, endless small economies to maintain your precarious balance between dignity and survival. But for now, in this quiet moment between one difficult day and the next, you allow yourself to rest. Sleep comes swiftly, carrying you into dreams where samurai still ride to battle and honor is enough to fill rice bowls. But even in sleep, some part of you knows the world has changed, is changing still, and that you must change with it or be left behind. The night deepens over Edo, wrapping rich and poor alike in darkness. Tomorrow's sun will rise on merchant mansions and samurai roases, without distinction, illuminating a city in transition, a world where ancient codes meet new realities. And you, caught between those worlds, will rise with it to face another day. 3 weeks pass in a rhythm of castle duties, umbrella making, and careful household management. Each day brings its own small victories and defeats in the ongoing battle against poverty. The roof holds against the autumn rains. Your wife's teaching position with Lady Mori proves successful, earning praise and steady payment. The children grow visibly healthier with the addition of more fish and vegetables to their diet. Tonight, as a pale half-moon rises over Edo, you sit on your small porch enjoying a rare moment of leisure. The final umbrella of the merchant's order was delivered yesterday, bringing payment that allowed you to purchase winter clothes for the children and still set aside a small sum for Ichiro's future. The tiny copper coins, wrapped in cloth and hidden beneath a loose floorboard, represent the beginning of something new, not just survival, but planning, hoping. Your swords rest beside you on the porch, removed from your belt but never far from reach. Earlier, you spent an hour cleaning and oiling them, a weekly ritual regardless of whether they've been used. The familiar motions unsheathing the blades, carefully wiping them with oil-infused cloth. Checking for any signs of rust or damage connect you to generations of samurai who performed the same actions throughout Japan's history. The short wakizashi gleams in the moonlight, its hilt re-wrapped recently with fresh silk cord, an expense you justified as maintenance of essential equipment. The longer katana shows more signs of age, small nicks in the blade speaking of battles fought by your grandfather or great-grandfather. Both weapons remain razor-sharp, ready for a purpose they will likely never serve in this peaceful era. "They're beautiful," says your wife, appearing silently behind you with a small cup of tea. Even after all these years, they still catch the light like living things. You accept the tea with a nod of thanks. "My grandfather said a samurai's soul lives in his sword. I used to think that was just poetry. And now?" She settles beside you, her own cup warming her hands in the cool evening air. Now I wonder if he meant it more literally than I realized. These swords are our legacy, our identity. Without them, what remains of the samurai? She sips her tea thoughtfully. Honor, courage, loyalty. The way of the warrior isn't just about the weapons, is it? No. You agree. But it's harder to see those qualities without the symbols that represent them. A comfortable silence falls between you, filled with the night sounds of Edo distant conversations, the clop of wooden sandals on stone paths, the occasional bark of a dog. From somewhere nearby comes the soft twang of a shamisen, a melancholy tune that suits your contemplative mood. I saw Yoshida today, you say after a while, at the castle. How is he? Your wife knows some of Yoshida's troubles, though not all. Better, I think. His son's health has improved, and he seems less burdened. You don't mention your suspicion that Yoshida has taken the secret scribal work he was considering. Some knowledge is safer when left unspoken. I'm glad, she says simply. He's a good man. Yes. Core in difficult times. Like the rest of us. Another silence, this one heavier with unspoken thoughts. Finally, your wife breaks it with a question that surprises you. Do you ever regret becoming a samurai? The question strikes at something deep within you, doubts you've rarely allowed yourself to acknowledge, let alone discuss. I didn't become a samurai, you remind her. I was born to it. You know what I mean. Do you ever wish your grandfather had chosen a different path? That we were merchants or craftsmen instead? You consider carefully before answering. It's a question that borders on treasonous in a society built on rigid class distinctions. Yet here, in the privacy of your home with only the moon as witness, truth seems more important than propriety. Oh, sometimes, you admit, when the children are hungry, when I see merchants wearing silk while we mend cotton, when I have to hide my work beneath the floorboards, you pause, running your finger along the edge of your teacup. But then I remember what it means to be samurai, not just the poverty and the restrictions, but the heritage, the code we live by. There's value in that, even now. She nods, understanding. And for the children, what do you want for them? This question is even more difficult. What parent doesn't want better for their children? But what does better mean in a world where classes are fixed at birth, where a samurai's son becomes a samurai regardless of his talents or desires? I want Ichiro to have choices, you say finally. More than we had, whether as a samurai or something else. It's as close as you've ever come to suggesting that your son might someday step outside the boundaries of his birth class, a radical thought in Edo society. Your wife doesn't seem shocked, however. She merely nods again, as if you've confirmed something she already suspected. And Ume, she prompts. A good marriage, you say, automatically, the standard wish for a samurai daughter. Then, reconsidering, no, more than that. I want her to have what you have: intelligence, strength, dignity, the ability to face whatever life brings without breaking. Your wife smiles, a soft expression barely visible in the moonlight. She already has much of that. She watches everything, learns from everyone. Especially you. Me? You're surprised. I thought she idolized you. She does, but she watches you for how to be brave, how to persist despite difficulties. Children see more than we realize. This thought is both comforting and terrifying. What else have your children observed that you thought was hidden? Do they know about the umbrellas, the borrowed shingles, the constant grinding worry about money? As if reading your thoughts, your wife adds, they see your strength, not just your struggles. That's what they'll remember. You hope she's right. You hope that when your children look back on these lean years, they'll recall a father who maintained his dignity despite poverty, who found ways to provide without compromising his essential honor, not a father who made paper umbrellas by moonlight and hid them beneath the floor when dawn approached. A shooting star streaks across the night sky, a brief, brilliant arc that vanishes as quickly as it appeared. In the old stories, such signs meant change was coming, sometimes good, sometimes ill. Did you see that? Your wife asks, her voice tinged with wonder. Yes. An auspicious sign, perhaps. Or just a beautiful moment in an ordinary night. You smile at her practical nature. That too. The shamisen music grows louder as the player moves closer to your district, the haunting notes drifting through the cool air. Your tea has grown cold, but you drink it anyway, unwilling to waste even something so small. We should go in, your wife says eventually. Tomorrow comes early. In a moment, you reply, not yet ready to leave this rare, peaceful interlude. I want to watch the moon a little longer. She understands and rises gracefully, sliding the door closed behind her to preserve the warmth inside. Alone again, you turn your attention back to the night sky, to the silver moon hanging above Edo like a polished metal mirror. Your grandfather once told you that the moon looks the same to everyone, emperor and farmer, samurai and merchant, the wealthy and the poor. Its light falls equally on palace and hovel, offering the same beauty to all regardless of birth or status. As a child, you found this observation profoundly democratic, a hint that perhaps the rigid distinctions of society weren't as absolute as they seemed. Now, older and burdened with adult concerns, you find different meaning in the moon's impartiality. Its beauty is indeed available to all, but some view it from silk cushions, while others from bare wooden porches. Some watch it while sipping fine sake, others while drinking cold tea. The moon doesn't care about these differences, but people do. Society is built on them. And yet, something is changing in Edo, in Japan. You can feel it like a distant tremor, barely perceptible but undeniably present. The old certainties are eroding gradually, undermined by economic realities that place merchants above samurai in practical power, if not official status. What will the social landscape look like when Ichiro is your age, when his children are grown? These thoughts aren't unique to you. In tea houses and castle halls, on merchant ships and in samurai gatherings, the same questions circulate in careful whispers. Change is coming, not the violent upheaval of war perhaps, but the slower, more fundamental transformation of society itself. The shooting star seems more significant in retrospect, a brief illumination of possibilities not yet fully formed. A cool breeze stirs the air, carrying the scent of the canal and the first hint of winter's approach. You should go inside, join your family in the warmth, rest for tomorrow's duties, yet you linger, savouring this moment of solitude and reflection. Your swords gleam beside you, symbols of a tradition that stretches back centuries. Your hands, calloused from both sword practice and umbrella making, rest lightly on your knees. In this moment, the contradictions of your existence seem less like a burden and more like a bridge, spanning old and new, tradition and necessity, the samurai you were born to be and the provider you've become. Perhaps that's the true strength of the samurai, not rigid adherence to ancient codes, but the ability to adapt while maintaining core principles. Your grandfather fought with his sword. You fight with your wits, your hands, your persistent refusal to surrender to circumstances. Different weapons for different battles, but the same essential courage. This thought brings unexpected comfort, a new perspective on your daily compromises. Making umbrellas isn't a betrayal of your samurai heritage, but an expression of its deepest values, providing for those under your protection, persevering despite hardship, finding creative solutions to seemingly insurmountable problems. The moon continues its arc across the sky, indifferent to your epiphanies. The shamisen player has moved on, the music fading into the night. From inside the house comes the soft sound of your wife preparing the bedding, the quiet murmur of the children shifting in their sleep. Your family, your responsibility, your greatest achievement, regardless of rank or wealth. With a deep breath, you gather your swords and rise, muscles protesting after sitting still for so long. Tomorrow will bring its own challenges: guard duty at the castle, negotiations with the rice merchant, perhaps another umbrella order from Takahashi. But tonight, in this moment of clarity beneath the indifferent moon, you find a measure of peace with your divided life. Inside, the house is warm from the small charcoal brazier, the air scented with the lingering aroma of the evening meal. Your wife looks up from arranging the futons, a question in her eyes. The moon was particularly beautiful tonight, you tell her. She smiles, understanding that you're speaking of more than celestial bodies. Yes, she agrees. Sometimes things reveal their true nature in the right light. You place your swords carefully on their stand, not hidden away like the umbrellas, but displayed with proper respect. A samurai's soul may reside in his blade, but his heart lives in his home, with those who share his struggles and joys. The children sleep peacefully, Ume's small hand curled near her face, Ichiro sprawled with the abandon of youth. Looking at them, you renew your silent promise to create a better future, no matter what it requires of you. The small cache of coins beneath the floorboard is just the beginning. As you prepare for bed, removing your day clothes and washing briefly with water from the basin, your mind continues to turn over the possibilities for tomorrow, next month, next year. Not just survival plans, but growth, advancement, change. Your grandfather would understand. You decide. He fought with steel for his family's future. You fight with bamboo and paper, with teaching and roof repairs, with careful economies and midnight labor. Different methods, same purpose. Your wife extinguishes the small oil lamp, plunging the room into darkness, relieved only by moonlight filtering through the paper windows. You settle onto your futon beside her, the familiar warmth of her presence, a comfort after the cool night air. Rest well, she murmurs, already drifting towards sleep. And you reply, though sleep seems distant for you despite your fatigue. Your mind continues to work, turning over plans and possibilities. The merchant might want more umbrellas as winter approaches. Your wife's teaching position could lead to others among Lady Mori's circle. Perhaps Tanaka knows of additional opportunities at the castle, small tasks that pay extra stipends. Gradually, these practical considerations give way to deeper thoughts. What does it truly mean to be samurai in this changing world? How do you honor your ancestors while adapting to new realities? Where is the line between necessary compromise and loss of essential identity? These questions have no easy answers, but somehow the act of asking them brings its own kind of peace. You are not blindly following a predetermined path, but consciously navigating the complexities of your time, making choices that honor both tradition and the needs of your family. Your breathing slows, muscles relaxing as exhaustion finally overcomes restless thought. The last image in your mind before sleep claims you is your son's face as he helped with the roof repairs, proud, determined, already showing the qualities that define the best of the samurai tradition. Whatever the future holds, those qualities will serve him well. Outside, Edo sleeps beneath the watching moon. In mansions and hovels, palaces and row houses, the rich and poor, highborn and low, all surrender temporarily to the great equalizer of slumber. Tomorrow they will resume their assigned roles in the complex social hierarchy, but tonight, in dreams, those boundaries dissolve. The night deepens. The half-moon continues its journey across the star-filled sky. In your small home, 4 souls rest peacefully, united by blood and love and shared struggle. And somewhere, perhaps, your grandfather's spirit watches over you, recognizing in your daily battles the same warrior's heart that once drove him to face enemies with steel and courage. Different battlefields, different weapons, same essential fight to protect, to provide, to persist against all odds. Such is the true way of the samurai. Such is your way. In the morning you will rise again to face whatever challenges the day brings, armed with both steel at your hip and bamboo hidden beneath your floor. Contradictory tools for a contradictory life, but effective in their own ways. Like you, a low-ranking samurai of Edo, poor in pocket, rich in honor, hungry in body, fed in spirit, divided in practice, whole in purpose. Sleep now. You're warm, safe, surrounded by those you love. The struggles of Edo's poor samurai will be there tomorrow, but for now, let them fade into the gentle realm of dreams, where swords turn to blossoms and hunger to feast, where the moon's light falls equally on all, and where peace, however temporary, reigns supreme. Your breathing deepens, joins the rhythm of your family's peaceful slumber. Another day ends, another begins in the endless cycle that carries all of us, regardless of time or place, toward our shared destiny. Rest well, samurai. Your watch is done for tonight.